Hello, Jimmy. Any train to Route 7? Hello, Jimmy. Any train to Route number 7?
Route number 7. Gone forever with the rest of the subway we once knew. Rapid transport in miniature for the Victorian city. A merry-go-round for workers and bowler-hatted bosses that began with trains hauled at the end of a tarry hawser and ended its first lease of life not so long ago as an all-electric curiosity of the 1970s. Nowhere else was there a system like it.
A great metropolitan system like London's or Moscow's or New York's. In fact, every Glaswegian feels he has his own Hornby train. We don't need to buy expensive toys for Christmas because we've got the biggest model railway in the world.
Every time I went in the underground, and I travelled on it a lot, I always felt a sense of occasion because it was the only one of its kind in the world. I always used to feel that this was like being in Toy Town when you were sitting in it, and it was very good for the liver. You get a wee rumble about, you know, so it kept you fit as well, and it was a slight tourist attraction. People coming up from the south were always dying to go for a wee huddle in our subway. Because it's that small, well, we have like a horse train. I think it's marvellous how it's lasted so long.
Oh, they're marvellously built, there's no doubt about that. Because these are original coaches, they were built in 1895. Very handy, the subway.
Glasgow folk declined to dignify it with such a grand title as Underground. To them, it remained the subway. Antique units rode the 6.5-mile merry-go-round on a bumpy, 4-foot, narrow-gauge permanent way through twin tunnels under the centre of the city, passing 15 stations in the half-hour circuit with strange-sounding names to tell. Cowcaddon, Kinning Park, Merkland Street, Cessnock. Each one was austerely tiled in cream and green. And at each street-level entrance, there lingered the authentic trademark of the subway smell. An indefinable, not unpleasant mustiness.
The smell is still a great Glasgow legend. It varies from station to station. At Kelvin Bridge, it was a kind of mixture of cold steam and old dust, a bit like wash day in a slum, but pleasant with it. And the other thing that went with it was the marvellous coolth of the Glasgow Underground. Even during the very tropical heat waves, which, as you know, we have for about 11 months of the year in Glasgow, you can retreat to the cool, calm, serene grotto of the Underground and restore the nervous tissues. The smell is something that people have threatened and tried to bottle for export, but like very fine and delicate wines, it does not travel.
Okay, Cat, take off.
In the depot, where trains were laboriously craned up through a hole in the ground, the only time they saw the light of day, ingenious craftsmen performed miracles of make-do and mend to keep the obsolescent stock on the rails. Reconditioning, adapting, even cannibalizing from trams as they went out of service. But in the end, the subway was running out of spare parts, just as it was running out of passengers as the tenement blocks above were demolished. And finally, the subway ran out of time. The twin tunnels fell silent.
Well, we'll lose an awful lot of memories. At the same time, I believe that progress must go on.
With the promise of a substantial government grant, the decision is made to transform this jokey wee railway into the hub of an integrated transport system for Strathclyde, as progressive as any in the world. New stations, new signalling, new track, new rolling stock, new ideas above all, and the accumulated experience gleaned from underground systems built all over Europe in the last few years. Glasgow had one advantage. It didn't need to start from scratch, because the tunnels were already there, and the capital cost is therefore relatively modest. The related disadvantage is that the line is more or less fixed, and that working in 11-foot diameter tunnels, first built for cable traction, gives little elbow room for either designer or builder.
It's bad and very bad places for water, particularly over the last few weeks, when you've had this bad rain. It was comes in not only from the ground all round, the sides of the tunnels, even the roof sometimes.
Water, ever the tunneler's bane. And of course there were plenty of headaches for all concerned. Trying to meet the tightest of schedules. How to keep the merry-go-round going. Mucking out the tunnels at one end and feeding in plant and equipment at the other. How to make elbow room for a major engineering project confined in a circle less than 3.5 meters in diameter. There was flooding, frustrating mechanical hitches, bugs in the electronics. Have faith. This is what it's going to be like. No trains to catch as yet at this mock-up of one of the modernized stations, but it's sufficiently realistic to attract the keen interest of British rail boss Sir Peter Parker and fellow guests. Showing them around with proprietary pride is the man at the centre of Strathclyde's transport system, the Director General of the Executive, the late Andrew Mackay. Room to stretch, and a capacity of 90 in each car when it's busy. 34 sitting, 56 standing. Glasgow School of Art provided early inspiration for the design, aiming at a chummy cheerfulness to complement comfort and quiet running.
I mean, this is going to be the original Clockwork Orange.
Dodging sewers, main services and even underground streams, nudging the base of old buildings. Bigger stations are scooped out and longer platforms built. A stretch of new tunnel is driven, allowing the new train units to surface for overnight parking and access to the new repair shop complex at Boomloan. At 9 of the 15 stations, escalators will carry passengers to and from street level, instead of the former flight of steps. At Buchanan Street, a covered moving pavement will ease the way to Queen Street Station.